we?
I hope so. We'll see if we start getting notifications. But Taylor Pinegar, welcome to the Scott Talks podcast show, episode number 3. We've talked about this for a long time, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Can't believe it's hardly here. I got a little stage fright all of a sudden, and I'm a guy that doesn't get stage fright.
You know what? I think you say that maybe not every time. Sometimes you say that. You're like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
I know. It's cool because I've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, we've been talking I bought all this equipment like a year ago, and I was like, you know who I need to do this with is Taylor Pinegar.
I know. I'm a little bit offended I wasn't on your first one.
I know that was a mistake.
Huge.
But it was a good mistake in the sense that Scott Porter was really good. So that's all.
I liked what he had to say.
He had some good stuff.
But I still wanted to be first.
Okay, we'll just do a new podcast, and you can be the first one on that.
Just label it number 1. Just bump him to 3. Put me at 1.
Okay,
we'll be good. I've never won first place in my life. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a lie.
I was about to say that's probably not true.
There's lots of things I've done that are really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Well, let's talk about it. So Taylor, you're my neighbor.
I am your neighbor,
and you've always impressed me from the get-go. I've lived here about 2.5 years now. You've been here at least longer than that.
I'm a veteran.
Yeah, you're a veteran for this little tiny neighborhood.
Coming up on 6 years, pal.
6 years. Wow. So all your kids except for one born here? How many kids do you have?
I have 4. 3. 4. Well, the twins came at once. Kind of confuses me sometimes.
Yeah.
That was a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that would confuse me too. But hey, at least we got
them.
2 for 1.
Expensive little buggers, but we got them.
Why are they expensive? Besides healthcare
costs. God bless in vitro fertilization.
Nice.
I'm grateful for it, but man, I could use some cost-cutting measures on that. Maybe some of those Bernie supporters will back me up or something. I don't know, right?
Yep.
Since infertility is classified as an elective surgery.
Is it?
Yeah. So you don't get any help. So
yeah.
And we didn't do any fundraisers, which maybe we should have, but
I have all the camera equipment for next time.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, that's why.
No more babies coming out of this factory. And I'm not even the factory. I'm just the guy who keeps the lights on.
Yeah, you're just here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
Very true. So. Very true. Well, good. And I know your kids.
Yes, you do.
Pretty cool kids.
One of them's pretty cool.
Which one?
The other 3 are a handful right now.
Oh, the 6-month-old one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually 14 months.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it went by fast, huh?
It did go by really fast.
Yeah, life seems to just pick up pace as you get older.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Taylor, you always have a lot to say, and I enjoy your wisdom of things that you have to say. I think one of the things that really impressed me from you from the get-go. Now, granted, both of us are LDS.
Sure.
Latter-day Saints. And, I think one of the things that you said from the very beginning is sometimes we just need to be more real.
Yeah.
People, I think people in general, but especially at church,
absolutely.
That's where church is is really the hospital, right? For those that need that healing.
Yeah.
What do you do you still feel that way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you go to the doctor, do you lie to the doctor about what's wrong with you? You go to the doctor to get better, right? Yeah. Some people do. So they, to obtain illicit substances or whatever.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, if you're going to the doctor, you're looking to get help. And I think that's the same with church.
Yeah.
At least in my experiences, I'm going there to get the help I need. And why am I going to go there and fake it? Right. So I try to be as real as I can. And I'm sure I come across as a little bit overbearing sometimes, but I just have to say what's on my mind and how I feel. Otherwise, I'm going to take that stuff home with me.
Yeah.
And, have to live with it and, struggling with a mental illness. And then, you're trying to go get some spiritual healing through whatever you do at church. It's like, I don't want to take this home with me this week. I've already had it with me, for too long.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that says our secrets die in the daylight. So if we can expose the secrets or talk about what's really going on in our lives, and especially at church, because my experience says that there's a lot of people there that are just afraid to expose themselves and be vulnerable, then, we stay sick. If we expose those vulnerabilities and those weaknesses we have, they end up becoming strengths at the end of the day. So
right.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with that. And I mean, that's the same with like AA, addiction recovery programs.
Yeah.
I like that, putting it in the light versus keeping it hidden. Right?
Absolutely, because you know what happens is we think the majority of the time we're the only person that struggles with something. I'm the only person that's dealing with this, you know, and the reality is you start talking about those things, you get people that'll come out of the woodworks and say, you know, I'm struggling with that same thing. And then you look at them, you're like, man, you're struggling with that? I thought you were like golden. I thought you were perfect. And it's like, no, I'm struggling with that too. And so it's actually a pretty cool way to build some pretty strong friendships and bonds and allows you to heal together, you know?
Yeah.
So when you're going through those tough times, you pick up the phone and you say, hey, dude, I'm struggling with this today. And all of a sudden he's like, let me tell you what I did. So we get to use their experience to kind of, because a lot of times my best thinking got me into more trouble. It's true, you know?
Yeah.
Because we can't think our way out of it, you know? We have to actually try other methods, you know? And sometimes getting a different perspective on how to tackle a problem is exactly what you need.
Well, absolutely. I think you're exactly right. I think the idea of having someone that you can go to and talk to about it, and then also receive different viewpoints of how to tackle it, and or experiences, stories. I mean, you hear them, various stories. I mean, there's obviously media, movies, and stuff like that kind of talk about it. But at the same time, there's really not a whole lot of stuff in the movies or TV shows that really show people overcoming addictions.
Yeah.
Really, it's just more like, oh, he's an alcoholic, and that's why he killed someone, or he's an alcoholic, and that's why his family's fallen apart. You know, and they use it as part of. And I get it. You got to have a plot. You got to have you got to have character development and whatnot. But very, very rarely do they overcome it.
Right.
You know, and if they do, it's a flash into the future, and oh, now he's a multimillionaire.
Everything's better now.
Everything's better, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, well, how did he do it? What's the path? And I think that's the other thing too that I know I've heard you say several times is like, you know, what's the real path of how people go through these hardships, and that's something that part of the reason why I started this podcast, because I love the idea of what's the path that people take to discover this, or to become healed, or to, psychologically, and I mean physically too. But
sure.
But you know, it's not something that people just. Again, if you grow up watching TV or movies, you really don't see it.
No.
You know, you don't see that process, and I think that's a hindrance that we have as well, is that we don't see that reality aspect. I mean, again, it's TV, it's movies. They're trying to show, character development, and you got to have this person that'll never overcome his challenges, because if he does, then this doesn't make sense for this character to do this.
Sure. Yeah.
But I would love to just sit in the room of like some of those writers that write these things and just be like, hey, have you? Why don't you put something that talks about the people that can overcome it, or even those that haven't but are trying. Like truly trying. Yeah. Is there anything that you feel like keeps you going when those things? I mean, you talked about the mental illness that you have. Well, actually, how about this? What would you say is, if you don't mind sharing, is there a specific mental illness that you feel like you have, or? Well,
yeah, I'm pretty darn sure that I've got bipolar type 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Has it been diagnosed?
It has been.
Okay. So you're pretty sure means
but
yes.
It just barely got diagnosed.
Really?
Back in October of last year.
Wow.
So really interesting is I started to see a therapist.
Okay.
I think everybody should have one.
Absolutely. That's another sense of embarrassment.
I think people are like, oh, I've got to go see my therapist. And it's like, man, you have no idea. Therapy is the coolest thing. Yeah. And I'm in my own individual therapy. Me and my wife see a therapist for couples counseling. And, even some of my kids are seeing therapists. And you know what? It's actually made life in our home a little easier, and we don't get so upset, and we learn how to communicate. Communication, it's one of those important things in a family, and especially in a marriage. But I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2, and I still trying to fully accept that. But so for years and years and years, I thought that it was the addiction that was the main problem, where it was actually I had a mental illness. I had bipolar, and I was self-medicating, and addiction was actually just one of the symptoms of my bipolar.
Interesting.
And so, very crazy thing that the therapist walked me through to try and help me see it. Because at first I was really upset with her, and I just said, "You're wrong." And she's like, "Well, we can look at that." And, good therapists are always so good to you because they'll validate you. And that's one of those huge things for me is I never got a lot of emotional validation growing up. I was the third child in a family of 4 kids. So I have 2 older brothers and a little sister. So we've got the baby of the family. She's the only girl, and she's beautiful, but she got a lot of the attention.
Yep.
So I was 4 years old when she came along. And my older brother, that's just older than me, he's a knucklehead, but he picked on me a lot. He teased me. And so I was just kind of, it's like the forgotten child, So, and there were some things in life that I didn't really understand as far as like when you're little. I got sent to live with my grandparents when I was like 9 years old. They lived in the Kiribati Islands. It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
Small little country. And as an 9-year-old, you don't really understand, like, why am I going? Mom and Dad are saying this is for an experience, but we're not capable of processing that.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to deal with, my mom and I'm a problem for my parents. They want to get rid of me. I'm causing all these issues. And it couldn't have been further from the truth. The truth was they really were trying to give me a good experience and create a little bit of distance between me and my brother, because I was getting picked on him quite often, And so they were trying to find some solutions there. I mean, they didn't know what to do. They were just doing the best they could, with what they'd been given. So I went and lived with them, and then I was getting picked on out in the islands too by the Pacific Islanders. I was this blonde-haired, blue-eyed little kid, and I don't know. I didn't think I was rude to them or anything, but I mean, in their culture, it's you're
weird.
Is
that what it is?
Well, listen, I wasn't used to the kind of corporal punishment that's given to them, like in school and stuff.
Oh,
like you'd get the switch.
Oh, wow.
Like there's this one time I got accused of stealing this little girl's lunch. And I mean, I was literally it's like what you see on the movies. They take you up to the front of the room, and I got switched.
Wow. And
I'd never been hit physically in my life, because my dad wasn't a spanker. He was gone a lot of the times working and stuff. So, it shook me. I mean, that's some of the trauma that I'm still working through.
Really?
So, I mean, that's 33 years ago.
Yeah.
So if we don't start to talk about some of these things early, and that's why some of my kids are in therapy now, because they need to learn how to talk about their feelings. Otherwise, they're going to stuff their feelings down, not talk about it. And sadly, that's why I think we see a lot of these suicides that are happening. These younger kids that are choosing to take their own lives, and it's devastating. Every time I hear about it, it just breaks my heart, because I'm thinking, what is so bad right now in life? Like, I can't imagine just exactly how this person is feeling. Like, this human being that has value and worth is hurting. And that is literally their only solution, is to choose to just escape that pain. I mean, that's how painful it is for them. It's not that they want to die. It's just that it hurts so bad, and that's the only solution. And sadly, it's not like that's a permanent solution. It's not temporary.
Right.
So it's just, there's a lot of stuff, and that's why I'm an advocate for just talk about whatever's on your mind. And if people want to look at you weird and whatever, cool. I'm not here to make friends. I'm just here to be the best person I can be on a day-to-day basis. And some days I suck at being a human, and typically it's because I'm not in sync with God, or my spiritual self is just out of sync, Yeah. But when I'm on spiritually, man, I'm on, and it feels good. But there are days that still, I can live in selfishness and say, I'm not doing anybody else's will but my own. And, sadly, experience has taught that my will gets me into trouble. So anyway.
Would you say that on the days that you feel like that you're on track versus the days that you're not on track, do you feel when you're on track that you go, those days that I was not on track don't matter?
Yeah, you have to. You have to. At the end of the day, so with the 12 steps, we learn to take a daily inventory. What are the good things I did? What are the things that weren't so hot? And we discard the bad inventory. It's like if you owned a grocery store, you want to make sure your stuff is fresh and it's not expired, and the stuff that's expired you take off the shelf and you chuck it, and you start the next day with fresh, good food. Yep. And that's exactly how it is. If there's things that I recognize that were bad coping mechanisms or whatever, I have to just discard them and then start fresh. A day at a time is that big AA motto, mantra thing. And you really do. Because otherwise you can start to build up, start living regret, and you start having these fears and all this stuff. And it just compounds, and you eventually will... Yeah, you'll blow a gasket, and if you're not, that's why there's a lot of relapse, and alcoholics go, and after years and years of sobriety or whatever, if they haven't properly worked through some of these character defects or weaknesses that we have, that's why they return drink again. It's just it's not there's weakness, man. I something that really bothers me sometimes is people think that these alcoholics and these addicts and these people that struggle with mental illness are weak. I from my own experience, we're some of the strongest people that walk on the face of the earth, because we wake up and we do this, we walk through it every day.
Yep. That actually reminds me of a story. So I have not I've gone to an AA meeting twice, not necessarily for myself, although very beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like counseling. Like, everyone should go.
Yeah.
At least go once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
Go with a friend, go with a family member, support them, but also see how it is. And honestly, it opened up my eyes a lot, both times that I've been. This last time I went about a year and a half ago, and it was on a business trip, and it was a big conference, big work conference. And my colleague that I was there, actually my boss at the time, I'll give you the whole story. He goes, I forget the name, but he's like, you have your itinerary, where you're going, and each room has like a speaker, and it's like at night, it's like 7:00, and he goes, oh, I'm at the I think it's the founder of the AA. I'm at the John Sutherland meeting. I don't know his name. I was like, man, I looked at the itinerary. I can't find anything. And it turns out for the conference, the company put an AA meeting in place of, instead of like going out like the big party night. It's in Anaheim, so there's all that. Lots of places, and so it's a safe place for these people to go. So I show up there, and I'm like, where's this guy? It's just my boss and this other gal or another person. It, showed up early, and it didn't dawn on me until later, as people come in, and no one knows each other.
Yeah,
we're all from all across the country, and some of them across the world actually, and we see like people start talking, and one person's in charge right away, kind of saying, okay, well, not right away, but after people settle down, and it gets pretty full. It's a pretty big room, probably about 20 or more of us in there. And all of a sudden realize, oh, this is an AA meeting. And I look at my boss. I'm like, oh, I mean, I had no problem being there. I just legitimately thought it was another meeting. But there was a gal at the other end of the table. It was a nice, long, skinny table. And there were people not at the table just because there's so many of us. But there was a gal, kitty corner of the table of me, just bawling. Just bawling. And this is the second night of the event, or of the conference. And everyone, at least so far, I've only gone twice, but, I think everyone has the opportunity to speak. And in this case, they let people call on each other. And so that way it wasn't like in a circle.
Yeah.
Someone called on her, and she just let it all out. She goes, I don't know how long, probably a year, a good amount of time. She goes, I drank last night. And the fact that she was there and could admit it, I think that takes a lot of strength.
Huge.
A lot of strength. And that's kind of how I wish church was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people need to necessarily be bawling during sermons or Sunday school, but I think it needs, I think there needs to be that, what? Timmy's struggling.
Yeah.
Let's put our arms around him. That's really, I mean, elders quorum, in the elders church. I mean, gosh, I mean, I this actually leads to another story of, while I was at BYU, we had a guest speaker come in and talk about the effects of pornography, the addiction of pornography, but this guy, did the 12-step program and overcame it. So now he about every Sunday he probably goes to a different ward and talks about it. And that's what I'm talking about. We need those stories, right?
Yeah.
We need those stories in the movies and the TV shows, because that story was so unique. You don't get to hear that super often. And he talks about how there's the 12-step program and where you can go.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine in the back corner goes, I go to that one he's talking about. And the stake leader, the leader over our congregation, the leader over our congregation's leader goes, now that's a man.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a man. That he could say that in front of his peers. I mean, college at a religious college that that condemns, pornography in a pretty strict way.
Sure.
That's pretty brave to do that. So yeah, I think people that can do what you've said, definitely have a lot of guts.
Yeah. Well, let me bring up another story here for you that goes along right with that.
Okay.
I was sitting in an elders quorum one time, and we were getting the annual. It seems like it happens once a year. We get the annual "Don't look at porn" lesson.
Yep.
The damaging effects of pornography, and it's for me. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't really. It's like, cool, man. It's porn, man. Like, whatever. It's porn.
Yeah.
It's
natural.
Naked women
naked women
doing things. Okay,
yeah.
So. Well, I had one of my good friends from that elders quorum start saying, I'm struggling with this, and I've struggled with it for a lot of years. And almost immediately we had a brother spout out, well, we don't talk about that here.
No.
And
lost opportunity.
And I'm thinking. And so he starts to try and shut it down. And I turned around, and man, I was so hot and fired up. I said, are you kidding me? I said, if there's one place that this brother should feel safe talking about that is within this quorum, where you should all have his best interest.
Yeah.
And no, that should be reserved for his ecclesiastical leader, for the bishop. And I said, you're wrong, man. Like, the bishop, great, go confess to him. But the way he's going to heal is through his peers.
Yeah.
And finding out that there's probably, whether you want to admit it or not, a good handful of you that are also struggling with that same problem. And you could actually be a strength. I mean, it really was a lost opportunity for I think, for a lesson, but the lesson got derailed. The spirit left because it got pretty contentious, and that was that. Well, after the meeting and after church, knock on the door, and this brother that had said we don't talk about this was there to apologize and kudos to him for coming and saying, I apologize for what I said.
Well, now he learned the lesson.
So maybe there was a reason that it had to happen that way. I don't know. But we got to just be okay with talking about like our struggles. Like even like I'll be the first to admit I have a hard time being a dad. I mean, it's my wife walks into church every week with all 4 kids, and I come moseying in when I do. And I mean, maybe people are looking and saying, geez, why doesn't he ever come to church with his wife on time, this and that, and whatever. But my wife's a superstar. She just gets it done, and it works for us. A lot of things that work for other people, great. It doesn't work for our family. My wife does a darn good job taking care of our kids and making sure they have what they need. And so I'm not capable of doing that. I get really overwhelmed really quick, and I get a lot of triggers, and I'm working on it, but it's not an overnight process. Since sobering up myself, I have to learn how to do these things. It's like I'm a little kid learning how to be an adult. I get along with teenagers really well, probably because my mental state is a lot like the teenagers.
That's why you drive that go-kart around.
You're darn right, buddy.
I'm darn jealous. I would ride that every day with Phoebe. Every day.
Well, come over and borrow it anytime.
Well, no. I don't want to use up your battery.
I got a pretty sweet charger. Plug it in at night. Full charge every single night, man. It's great.
Good. All right, I'll take you up on that. Phoebe will go nuts.
She'll love it.
Oh, she'll go nuts.
Yeah, anytime.
That's awesome. I think, man, just so many thoughts just came through my mind when you were talking about that. I think the other thing that's important is to just make sure that we don't judge.
Sure.
Because we don't know. And the other part is, sure, you admit it. You're starting to work on whatever the thing you're working on.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
Very, very, very rarely do I feel like it truly does. Quit smoking. Jeez, that's a hard, they purposely put things in it. I don't know about if they purposely put things in alcohol to make alcohol addicting, but...
Well, sure, they put alcohol in it.
Yeah. But like cigarettes, at least traditional cigarettes now, they put the stuff in there that just makes it so addicting that your body has to have it.
Absolutely.
But people, I think that's the other thing too. You go, oh, he's working on it. He did it, but he fell. He slipped.
Yeah. So
he's over. He's not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's a journey. I think the most important thing, especially not to get too religious, but I think the important thing is that all that matters is you're 100% facing the direction to be a better person.
Yeah.
I think that's all that matters to God. I think that's all that should matter to our peers, our family, and those that we don't know. As long as you're 100% trying, but and I guess even 50%. I guess maybe I should eat my words there, but as long as you're trying,
if we're doing the best we can,
the best you can, that's the
on any given. I might be like I've said, if I was a 2-pack a day guy, and the next day I smoke 1 pack, I'm the only person that's gonna know because somebody's not going to spend 24 hours a day with me to see the progress that's been made.
Yeah.
But going from 2 packs to 1 pack and maybe, 1 pack to three cigarettes a day. And then maybe you smoke 3 cigarettes a day for a year.
Yeah.
If you've been smoking for 20 years and then all of a sudden for a year, you're cutting down to 3 a day.
It's pretty good.
And maybe 2 the next year and 1 the next year. And then maybe you have 1 every 6 months.
Yeah.
There's still some huge things of progress, and I don't like how sometimes we can be disqualified from certain. I don't know how to word this, but we might not be looked at as somebody who's perhaps
good enough,
worthy.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the worthiness word. Really,
I'd say good enough to be good.
You know what?
Something
I could be serving and helping and doing everything for everybody in the world, and because I'm smoking a cigarette, somehow that might disqualify me from participating in other things. I don't know. What do you think?
I think kind of like the analogy that you gave about your wife takes your kids and then you show up a little bit later to church.
Yeah.
What do people think? Oh, he showed up late. But really, it should be like, awesome. Taylor's here.
Yeah, they probably don't think anything at all. I just think I'm pretty important. They're like, well, what's going on? Because generally speaking, that's usually what it is. It's like, I think I'm so important that everybody's always thinking about Taylor Pinegar.
Well, we love you.
Well, I know. What's not to love about this guy?
The question is who has not stopped at your front of your house, your front door, and talked to you?
Well, I can think of a few. I won't point them out.
This is an analogy here, okay?
I do get a fair amount of stops
you get a lot
at
of
my
people.
front yard, which I love.
People love talking to you.
Which people don't understand is that's very healing for me. You know, if I'm having a bad day, and my will is saying stay inside, isolate, and don't talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. That's when I need to get out and just water the lawn, water the flowers for the 15th time during the day, because I will always get into a conversation with somebody who stops by, and I always feel better after having had that conversation. Yeah. Good. I think it's because it validates me as a human being. Like they actually, and even a wave or a hello, you know, it doesn't even have to be a long conversation. I've found that human beings want to be validated in some form or fashion. Totally. Like thanked for something they've done. Yep. It's huge. Yep. Validating somebody's existence. Like, I see you, you matter.
Especially from people that you care about.
Sure.
You know, you care so much. I mean, look at spouses, right? I mean, spouses, geez. The spouses don't validate each other, or one doesn't validate the other.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's huge. And that's one of my biggest flaws as a husband is I don't compliment my wife enough. I don't validate her enough for the little things she does. I've spent enough time at home with my kids when she's gone to know that she's got her hands full. And if I leave the house to go to work and the kitchen's a mess and I come home and the kitchen's a mess, and if I'm the kind of husband that comes home and says, well, what did you do all day? It's like you didn't even do anything. Dude, let me tell you what, man. You have no idea. Yeah. And she's like, you know what I did? I changed all these diapers. I chased kids around. I cleaned up messes. It's tough. Yeah. So if there's one thing that husbands could do that would like make their marriages 100% better almost overnight is to begin to just validate their wives in any small way that they can. And wake up and say, how can I serve you today? What can I do for you? If that's the first thing that you're thinking about when you wake up, my friend, you're going to be sailing along for that golden 50th wedding anniversary. But we see a lot. We see a lot of divorce these days.
Yep. Even for older couples,
a lot of people are cutting and running.
Yep.
You know, and a lot of people stay in marriages because they're doing it for the kids or
it's easier.
Yeah.
Financially.
Absolutely. Well, sure.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
Well, emotionally in the sense of embarrassment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
it's
are
a real
people
thing.
Gonna say?
Yeah.
Look at them. They got a divorce.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, me and my wife have had some rough times. I mean, for crying out loud, I was an addict for, let's see, we're going on 16 years. So probably a good 9 years of our marriage, I was addicted to a substance.
Yeah.
If she can stick it out with me, somebody that's not addicted, they should be able to make it work.
Yeah.
But I'm not judging them. Well, you got to at least make every effort to fix what's wrong. Yeah. And it's sacrifice. I mean, we have to be willing to say, okay, I'm all right with this. And it's a give and take thing, you know. I mean, sadly, you know, we want to go do the fun stuff. We want to golf. We want to fish. But, you know, my wife has started to understand that when I get that free time to go throw a line in the river for an hour, it has huge benefits of me when I come home, allowing me to be more helpful.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes when we say, hey, I want to go fish for an hour, hypothetically speaking, and the wife says, well, what? I've been home all day. I need a break. And that's like, okay, would you be willing to give me an hour and then you can have a break the rest of the night? Little acts of service that way, a little give and take. I think there's huge dividends that it pays.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. Have you experienced that in your own marriage?
Totally. I mean, we are definitely not the perfect marriage. That's for sure. And,
but you look perfect.
Oh, well, my wife definitely compliments me tremendously, especially with that gorgeous red hair.
I was thinking the same thing. I wanted to make a comment, but I didn't know if it'd be inappropriate or not.
She's started. It's okay. We'll take
full-on fist fight here in the studio. What? You're talking about my wife's red hair? Shame on you.
No, that's her whole life. That's the thing about having red hair. It's the thing that's talked about you behind your back, like right now.
Did you see that redhead?
Jeez.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah. She was a missionary in Korea.
Oh, wow.
They all wanted to take pictures, and they were sneaking pictures.
That's funny.
Yeah. She was famous. Her companions, her missionary companions, definitely got a little annoyed with how often it happened. But it caught my eye. So yeah, we definitely, we're working on it. I mean, we're always working on it. We see a counselor actually as well, and it's great. We talk things through. I mean, some days are better than others. Some weeks are better than others.
Absolutely.
But I think the biggest thing for me, at least personally, because it's just like, oh, what do? Do you stick it out, or do you just say, you know what, there's gonna be something better out there, or easier, or, and ultimately, it always comes down to is like, you know what, this is the best person in my life, and I forget that. Yeah. And I also remember how important. I think that's the other thing too. Of course, I think the other thing, there's a side note. There's a report that says that men need 2 guys' nights a week to be, I don't know what the benefit of it is, but I'm sure to be healthy.
Was this the Harvard Business Journal?
It's something over there. I think it was something with like Harvard. I think
as long as it had one of those big school names in it, it's legit.
I think it was one of those tests where they like what made like a father like a good person or happy and stuff like that. And one of the elements was the men need 2 guys' nights, quote unquote guys' nights. I'm sure healthy guys' nights. Yeah, right. Sure. To be good. And so I think that as my wife and I work on things, it's like, okay, we need to take care of ourselves first. Sure. I've heard a lot of people say, you know what, when it comes to couples counseling, sometimes it's really good to just start on individual counseling first, so you can work on yourself. Yeah. Versus tackling the things that you're barking at each other, when really those things that you're barking at each other are the things that you don't need to really worry about. I hate to use the analogy because I've grown up hearing it from all these specialists, is the toothpaste. The toothpaste on the mirror.
He doesn't put he doesn't put the lid back on the toothpaste, and he doesn't put the toilet seat paper down. The toilet paper's put on the wrong way.
Yep. He complains about this and that, and that's a personal thing. I think that the guy, and also in this case, man and woman, need to figure out how to get over it. I mean, I shouldn't say get over it, but in the sense of, I guess not get over it, to learn how to be better about it. Because these little annoyances that I've had, man, there's been a lot of self-reflecting. Yeah. Like, oh, is this really something?
You're like, why does it bother me so bad that this is happening?
Yeah. So this is where I use the word get over it. I don't want to just throw out the word get over it. Like, get over it, you idiot. Like, yeah. Because people have challenges that you can't just say get over it. But in the sense, like, did I get over it? Heck yeah, I did. I definitely got over it.
Get over it and stay over it.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't go and dig it back up next time there's an argument. Right. Where you're digging up bricks from the past and hurling them towards the person, and you're like, whoa, I thought you forgave me for that one. Yeah. Why are you digging that one back up? And that obviously tells me that she's still holding on to that resentment. She's still angry and still hurting about something. Yeah.
What do you think about communication though? Like, do you feel like communication is good, or do you try to go for more or less?
Depends what you're communicating about. I think certainly there's things that need to be discussed with your spouse. I also know that in my own marriage, if it's something that doesn't directly involve or is going to affect my wife or my kids, I don't want to, and I know what her reaction will be about something, I choose to discuss it with somebody else that I trust, who's not going to go and, hurl it to the world and say, oh, did you hear this? Like, there's certain things I just know my wife, what her reaction is going to be. Yeah. And I'm not going to talk to her about it, because if it doesn't affect us as a family or whatever, it doesn't matter. But it matters to me because I got to get it. I got to talk about it. But you have to pick carefully who you talk about things to.
Yeah.
Because it can turn ugly really fast. But communication, like learning how to be 100% honest with my wife is a struggle. Because I learned from a young age that I've got to protect myself, like these traumas that happened as a kid, and there's some pretty horrific traumatic events that happened to me when I was younger. And I learned really good how to protect myself and build those walls. And so we try and learn how to be honest and communicate. And we have to learn how to communicate in a way that the person on the other end of the phone is going to understand,
Yeah.
It's like, there's this book, I brought it with me just in case,
Nice.
but it's called The 5 Love Languages.
Oh,
It's very, very good.
good. I know that aspect is very good.
Actually, you got to learn what your spouse's love language is. And if you're speaking the wrong language to her,
yeah,
you're going to have a crappy communication marriage.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's going to suck.
That's actually a big reason why I brought that up, is because I think communication is key. And I'm so glad that you brought up the idea that it depends on what you're talking about or how you're doing it or what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because actions is also communication, right? You know, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the 5 love languages for sure go a long way. And I guarantee you, if you were to ask a group of men, of married men, what's your spouse's love language?
They're going to miss it.
Maybe one or two.
Yep.
They're going to know what it actually is.
Exactly. I didn't know mine. And I was showing my wife the wrong kind of communication. Like, I thought she wanted to have like gifts, and she likes gifts, but so I'd buy her stuff and be like, see, I love you. She wasn't feeling it, man. She was not feeling the love, not feeling the love.
Yeah.
And you know what she wanted?
What?
Quality time and just that emotional connection. Sit with me. Let's watch a show together.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll watch. I don't even like the show, but I'll sit with you and watch this show. And I'll actually try and ask questions about what's happening in the show and show an interest in the show that you like to watch. That type of communication starts to build a strong relationship.
Yeah. But you know what? Sometimes you can only watch so many shows about women giving birth.
What, is that what your wife's into?
No, what's the show? Darn it. It's a British show.
Well, listen.
Oh, my gosh. I'm forgetting the name of it.
We don't do the British shows in our family,
Oh,
but
really?
we
It's
do
called The Midwife.
Oh, The Midwife. Thank you.
Oh,
Matt. Yes, The Midwife.
Yeah.
Literally every show has like 2 or 3 babies born. I'm just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love kids. And actually, sometimes it goes the other way where I'm like, hey, let's have another kid. you know, it's like, hey, that was really emotional. Let's do this.
Maybe she's trying to send you some subliminal messages.
Maybe.
Like, hey, maybe it's time we have more kids.
That's a conversation that usually goes no, or not no, but I say it the wrong way, so it usually goes the wrong way. So anyway, we'll move on from there. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that I found that she really enjoyed, that because we like different things when it comes to watching something. You know,
okay,
I mean,
so for example, what kind of shows are you into?
I love you know what? I like those
Law and Order.
No.
CSI Miami with David
No.
Caruso.
You know what? She's actually into that because it's got some science in it. You know.
Yeah,
Even though
that's
it's
good.
fake.
Well, they solve those. I mean, it takes years and years to get the DNA
Yeah,
collected and
yeah.
tested, and
And
then
it's
all
done
of a
in
sudden
1
they're
hour.
solving it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's awesome.
So, but you know, she likes that because of science. I'm not as much of a science person.
Okay.
I'm more on the, I guess, the artsy, but also the survival stuff. You know, I like that
Okay.
stuff, and I think there's sometimes where she'll do it to amuse me. She'll watch those things. You know, like I'll stay up all night after watching a movie, you know, some post-apocalypse movie, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What do you do? You know,
Yeah.
how do you handle this?
Yeah.
And literally I'll be up all night and maybe the next night thinking about it. And it's not like not necessarily what would I do, but I think more of the emotional impact of it. And so that's why I feel like sometimes we connect, because it's like more of emotional versus data driven.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I'll watch Downton Abbey with her, and there's some scenes where I'm just like, fine. Or Grey's Matter. Oh my gosh. I'll come in and join in with her, like after like not watching it for a season with her, And I'm like, okay, so who's married to who now for the third time?
Yeah.
You know, just
Yeah,
to stuff like that, I just don't get, and she gets mad when I make those comments. So that's definitely communication where I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't say that. And every time I do it, I'm thinking I'm funny.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Well, you're just kind of hurting her feelings.
Or annoying her.
Well,
probably both. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe they're one and the same. Thing, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's important to do that with your kids too, though. Learn their love language. I thought one of my kids' love languages was physical touch, like giving him hugs. I love you, buddy. I love you.
Nope.
Wrong again. Quality time.
Strike out.
He wants me to just spend time with him. And that's one thing that's hard for me because I like to be by myself a lot. I just like to isolate and recharge the batteries, you know.
Do you think he likes to spend time necessarily with you because maybe he sees you struggling?
It could be. It could be that, or he just, I don't know. I didn't get to spend a lot of quality time with my dad because my dad was traveling a lot. That's one big thing for me is I crave quality time with my dad.
Yeah. And,
you know, but as a parent, what do you do when you have lots of kids? Like, it's a sacrifice and you've, it's hard being a dad, man. I mean, you've got all your kids have these specific needs, and every one of my kids, it's different. One of my kids is on the spectrum, and he has special needs to try and get, what he needs. One of my kids is super social and wants to be hanging out with friends all the time, and that's
very different.
That's different. And then we got another kid that wants the quality time, and he's just starting to hit puberty, and man, dude, it's hard. Like, how do I spread this time out and include my wife in this?
Yeah.
Like, I think a weekly date night with your wife is critical. And I think having specific times where you just take one kid out and spend time with them doing something, whether it's going and getting an ice cream cone or miniature golf or something, they're going to remember that more than anything. Like my daughter, she's 5.5. One thing I got in the practice of doing was at the end of the night, going into her room and just saying, tell me about your day. Because when she's a teenager, dude, I want that to be set in place.
Yep.
That every night dad's coming in and talking to my teenage daughter. And I haven't had one yet, but I've seen my nieces and I've seen enough the real world stuff where dads need to take that time to spend with their daughters, you know? Because if they're not telling you about it, then, what are they doing with it?
Yeah. They're very likely telling it with other people.
And with social media these days, dude, it's like, I've seen some of my nieces. People are mean.
Yeah.
People aren't nice. And if they don't have a way to go unload that at the end of the day, like so-and-so called me in this on social and everybody saw it, or it's tough. Yeah. Like, I'm glad there wasn't social media when we had to, when we wanted to slam somebody, we had to print it up.
Put it on their locker.
Well, you did, or you just printed up 500 copies. Like in high school, it was really immature and lame, but it was called the student review, where you'd go and you'd just list certain people and then just hammer them.
Oh, wow.
It was brutal. That has effects, man.
Totally.
And kids these days, I'm sure there's probably some people that were in some of those flyers or handouts or whatever that they're still hurting today.
Yeah. I'd love to get a true specialist that knows, like, this is the effects of social media. This is the effects of screen time.
Did you go to that Colin Karchner thing?
No.
That the stake did?
No, unfortunately,
Dude,
no.
If anybody wants to see the effects and what it's doing, Colin Karchner is doing some amazing things. I went to high school with him, and he's really, it's really crazy. Like, if you go follow him on Instagram and stuff, we're talking about social media, but you can use it for good.
There's good in everything.
Like, he'll put up messages that he's getting from these teenagers about, hey, I shut this down and my mental health is so much better. I'm not worried about this. My depression's leaving. My anxiety's leaving.
Wow.
There's some pretty crazy psychological effects by just putting away the social media and not feeling like we have to Snapchat every second of our life,
That's the hard part. Honestly, I would love to get rid of social media as we're broadcasting this to social media.
Like, we can do this, though. Like, you could do that every day when you see somebody in the road. Like, go validate. That's why we're talking about that validation.
Yeah.
The reason people are using social media is to be validated.
Oh, totally. That's why
How many hearts did I get?
Yep. And which princess do I look like? Someone that you know that has never posted anything out of the blue says... let me rephrase that. Someone who's posting about complaining about this and this and this, and then randomly, what princess do I look like?
Yeah.
This gal is looking for attention.
Yep.
She needs validation.
Yep.
And there's honestly, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You know, even social media sometimes she's anyway, she's not married but has someone. She's got kids. She's probably stays at home all day long with 2 kids below the age of 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gosh, I mean, no wonder moms are all over it. Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, all these platforms too.
Yeah.
Because they need that validation. They need that connection because they can only get so much.
And they want some dreams and stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to, at least I know for my wife is, you know, she wants to have a kitchen that that has white cupboards in it. You know, we got the 1978 specials.
Yeah.
I can't, you know, and sometimes that can be a rub in a marriage. It's like, oh, what, this isn't good enough for you?
Yeah.
Reality is, you know, she's going to be at home all day. She should have some things that are nice for her, you know, and that I shouldn't take it offensively that like, oh, this isn't good enough. It's like, no, it's, you know, just be grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
So, but it can be really unhealthy too.
Yeah.
You know, where we're comparing our circumstances to other people. When I compare my life to your life, it robs me of so much. And I get in the habit of doing that. I sometimes look at my older brothers and some of the successes they have and the houses they live in and the cars they're driving and I can...
Dude, you got a freaking awesome truck, though.
Hey, man, thanks.
I love that truck.
I love it, too. I don't spend enough time being grateful for it, for sure.
Plus the go-kart.
Yeah, and my sweet minivan.
Yep.
2006 Toyota Sienna.
I didn't mean to throw you off your train of thought there.
You screwed it up for me, buddy.
I did.
I was going somewhere powerful with that one.
I know.
That's okay.
I just wanted to validate you and your truck.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Thank
I want
you.
a truck.
You can take that one out anytime you want to.
You're talking about comparing.
Yeah, we were.
To what other people may have. And then do you feel like, do you ever feel like, man, I really, really don't have enough or I'm not good enough? Or do you ultimately come to the conclusion, you know what? My life's good.
It depends back to that spiritual state of mind. Like if I start with some spiritual food and connecting spiritually to something, typically it won't matter to me. And I won't drive my nice truck around thinking I'm all hot stuff. I just drive my truck like it's a car.
Yeah.
I don't worry if people are liking it and looking at me like, oh, that's a sweet truck, you know. Walking out of the CVS pharmacy and somebody's taking a picture of it, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. I drive this truck. If you only knew what the train wreck my life was.
Oh, man.
You think I act like I'm, you know, hey, listen, bankruptcy twice. Yeah, I'm driving a nice truck, though, so, I mean, it's stupid.
Yeah.
If people really knew, like, what my financial situation is, they'd be like totally amazed. I don't have to pay for the truck because I drive it for work. So it's like, it's not even my truck.
All the more. That's why you're going to let me drive it.
My business partner owns the truck.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing too, is most of these cars that are really, really nice, probably leased, or they're going to be repoed soon. Yeah.
Or maybe they got lucky and are financially responsible and know how to budget, which I don't know how to do. Dave Ramsey, you know, has never worked for me.
You've tried it.
I know it's worked for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of an impulsive person, and if I got a wad of cash somewhere in an envelope, guess what, buddy? I'm spending it.
Yep.
On something that I'm going to just use once and then put in my garage. Lame, I know.
Well, hey, you're using your go-kart often, so now that it's sunny and warm.
Until somebody calls me in and reports me. Probably one of those neighbors down the road.
Gosh.
Why do people do that? Just come talk to me face to face. Like, this is bugging you? Don't
Yeah.
go call the cops and get me in trouble with the law.
Yeah. We had a Airbnb review. We are super hosts on Airbnb.
Yeah, super hosts. I had to come try that out. Maybe I'll spend a night here.
You live around the corner.
Well, I still would like to maybe spend a night here. See why you're
staycation.
Yeah,
staycation, huh?
I'm close enough to home to where if my wife needed me to come over and
that's funny.
be with the kids, I still could.
Yeah. Hey, go.
Or I'd bring the kids here, and my wife can have a night by herself over there.
There you go.
Eating bonbons and
there you go.
Whatever else she does.
Well, we got a really lengthy. I mean, you're welcome. You don't even have to pay. Don't even reserve it. Just come. Just let us know. Hey, are you free?
I want to pay though.
No,
come on.
Don't worry about it. You're gonna let me drive your truck, so.
Oh, it's good. Oh, there's this thing that used to be called. What was it? Where you could trade services.
Oh.
Do you remember what that was?
Does
anybody remember what that was? You trade a service. Like if I'm good at doing something and you have something that I want, I can like go build cabinets for you.
It's like bartering.
Yeah, it was a bartering place.
But maybe there's a more specific term.
iTex is what the name of the company was.
Huh, interesting.
Anyway.
I know some BYU students started up an app that did that, and I'm pretty sure it flopped. But
it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you got
my sock and tie company flopped.
Yeah, hey,
and so did my baby boutique.
All the people,
anything
kids,
else you want to know about my life?
All the kids at church wear your ties.
I know, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it's great.
Good kids.
Yeah, they're good kids. They love you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I work hard at letting them love me because they need to know they're loved.
Yep, absolutely. Good. Oh gosh, darn it, I forgot where we. Okay. Oh yeah, Airbnb. So
Airbnb review, Superhost.
We got a bad review. Like one. I mean, we like a real bad.
Was it
review.
the people that showed up at my house at midnight, all giddy and excited?
Funny, I don't know what
they must have been. Really,
or
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they had a car seat, so it was probably like the first time they were away from their kid in like 10 years.
Probably. Yeah, and they were probably up, I think, from like Logan, like an hour and a half.
That was so funny. Yeah. I'm just like, they would have walked into my house.
Oh, they totally would have.
That would have been weird.
I mean, we gave them a code, so if they didn't see a code to but people are weird.
People
don't read all the details.
That's weird. Okay, anyway,
so this gal gave us a really long. I mean, like it would be like a 5-paragraph essay.
Yeah.
Really long. Just complaining. I mean, the desk fell over. She said it randomly fell over. It's like, I'm pretty sure
that was the ghost that lives here. That's in our description.
Yeah.
Her name's June.
Toys were in the backyard and on the cement. I was like, we have a 3-year-old. Like, you're going to complain about that? Just weird things.
Did you need the patio space for something?
It's like, yeah, you're just walking through it. And most of the time it's not there. So just a lot of things. You're just kind of like, why don't you just talk to me about it? Kind of like the neighbors. Like, why don't you just talk to me about it?
Other than those things, how was the stay in general?
Yeah. It was very long. I won't go into all the details, but it probably wasn't very good.
I'm going to leave a review on her Airbnb.
Well, apparently that's the other thing too. She's a host. Well, so she had high expectations.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you know what? I've learned one thing. Expectations are premeditated resentments.
Yeah.
When we have an expectation of how something should be,
mm-hmm.
and it doesn't turn out how we envisioned it, immediately we are resenting it. And that's how it is in life too.
Yeah.
I thought marriage was going to be all great, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And then you live in this resentful stage the rest of your life until you learn how to just work through it.
Yeah. Darn expectations.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Preconceived judgments. Judging a book by its cover.
What about goals? Expectations and goals, I feel like sometimes can go hand in hand. Like you expect this to happen, so I'm going to make it happen by setting goals.
Yeah, I think I'm not a big goal guy, just because most of the goals I've set I've not accomplished. I've failed at, which just drives this narrative of, well, you're just a piece of crap, you suck. So you got to start with little things like wake up.
By the way,
thank you.
I'm gonna say that I'm validating you.
I said thank you, and
you're welcome.
There you go. See, my therapist is so good. She's so good at like, you're welcome. And
that's awesome.
It's really important. Or you know what? That makes sense. When somebody's talking to you and like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then they get the sense that this person really does understand me.
Yeah.
So now I don't even know what we were talking about again. Goals. Oh yeah. So I got to start with small goals. One of my goals every day is to just wake up and connect.
Yeah.
Whether it's through fishing, whether it's spending some mindful meditation in the morning. Like if we're automatically running to see what's the latest news, or like my Sometimes my routine is I wake up and I'll flip it onto Drudge Report and just see, all the news stories out there and see what's going on in the world. It always is depressing. So why would I want to start with that? Why would I want to start my day being depressed?
Yeah.
It's going to end up being one of the worst days of my life. So that's why I wake up and I try and express some gratitude immediately. I'll express gratitude for whatever I have. My strawberries, man, they're off the hook this year.
Good.
They blew up. Strawberries. A guy like me growing strawberries?
You grow strawberries in your front yard.
Seriously. And I've offered them to all the neighbors that walk by my house. And some of them have taken me up on it.
I haven't taken you up on it.
I wish you would.
I will.
I wish you would.
I'll do it right after this.
The birds in the morning, if I walk out and say that stupid robin is eating my strawberries, instead of just saying, "Hi, Mr. Robin, I'm glad you could have a strawberry. You're probably hungry. You're going to go take that to your little baby robin bird."
Yep.
Pen, pineapple, papple, pen, or whatever that song is, you know? So I've got to start off with gratitude. After I've done gratitude, I got to spend some time just breathing. And then maybe a little exercise, maybe get the heart rate going. And then maybe do a little act of service. I've gotten the habit of going and grabbing my wife a 44-ounce Diet Dr. Pepper. A little bit of ice. Don't put too much ice in, you get in trouble.
Yep.
I've learned.
Yep.
You put too much ice in, you're going to get a complaint.
Oh.
The reviews on I should have all 5
Dr.
stars
Pepper.
lately on the Diet Dr. Pepper.
Nice.
I'll grab some Krispy
You're
Kremes for the kids.
You're super
I'm
Diet
a
Dr.
super
Pepper.
dad.
Super dad.
Slash husband. Super everything.
Super everything.
Some days. Other days I suck. But I've come to accept that I'm going to have crappy days. And you know what the nice thing is I just tell my family when I know I'm in a funk, hey, FYI, I'm having a bad day. You know how wonderful that is? Because when I'm laying on the bed not wanting to do anything and my wife's like got 4 screaming kids and everybody's fighting, she doesn't come barging through the door and saying, "Would you just get off your butt and help me?" Because she already knows that I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
She knows that that's not going to help. So if we can learn to just say, "I'm having an off day." And the nice thing is now my wife, she'll say, "Is there anything I can do to help change that?" And sometimes there is. Like, it was really weird. Like a couple weeks ago, I was having a really crappy morning and I sent a text to my wife. So I was in my truck outside just listening to music, trying to clear my head. I said, "Hey, could you come out here and so I could talk to you?" That was weird because I don't do that. And she came out and we talked and I felt so much better after. It's little things, man. It's like that made a big difference. And to her, she goes, "Wow, he's actually opening up to me and he's starting to show some vulnerabilities."
Yeah. I was about to say, usually I feel like it takes a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Something that really starts to take that step. Because, I think sometimes we say, it just takes one step to climb a mountain. But sometimes that step is easy to get discouraged. And you have to believe in yourself while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that leap of faith builds that faith.
Yeah.
You got to build that muscle up, saying, "Hey, I can do this."
Yeah.
And opening up to your wife in a way of where it even helped her.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Well, if we can just do that little by little, not have, say you've been closed off your whole marriage about wanting to open up about anything. If we just start little by little, pretty soon you're just going to learn that the communication is just flowing and she's running to you instead of her best friends to talk about, something.
Yeah.
So it's a learning process and I'll continue to be an advocate for therapy. I read an article today about how long should couples stay in therapy.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, as long as it takes,
Yeah.
Like they were talking about this couple that had been in a marriage for 14 years and they'd been going to counseling for 12.
Wow.
And it's like, at what point do you say, well, the counseling's maybe not working, but this couple ended up saying that's the reason that marriage is still intact and we're still here for our kids, because we are going and doing our therapy. And whether it's once a week or it's once a month, I think having a therapist that you could just call and say, "Hey, it's time for a little checkup," it's huge. It's huge. So I think there was all these things. I mean, if you're going in it for more than 6 months, then it's probably not going to be worth trying to save the marriage. And I'm going, well, I've been in it for a long time. And I mean, since 2009 on and off, but
it's 10 years.
Really extensively though. For the last 9 months or so, we've been going regularly. Like it's been huge, and I'll advocate for it. And I think as long as it takes, if it's making your marriage work, just keep going.
Yeah.
Therapists are good to have in the speed dial.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, mine even offer. He's like, just call me. I'm like, you want me to call you on your cell phone?
Can I text you?
Is this
like that's my therapist too.
Yeah.
She's like, text me anytime. I'll take your call anytime you want. And if you can find health professionals that are actually there because they care about, it's not just like a paycheck form or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of these therapists or addiction recovery centers that are, it's a lot about, and it's just not about the person. I think it should always be about the person. It shouldn't be about how much money we can make, how much we can bill the insurance, what kind of insurance do you have. It's got to be about the person, because otherwise, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. But I am going back to school.
You are.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that, because I'm scared to go back to school.
What are you going to school for?
So I'm going to go, and I've applied to be a substance abuse counselor.
Nice.
So that's a scary thing. Like, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2004. So we're talking 15 years since I've been to school.
It's a long time.
Terrifying. You know?
It's not that bad.
It scares the crap out of me. Because when I graduated, I'd been married for 6 months, had no kids, and now it's like, how do I fit in work, kids, wife, and school, knowing that I have to do...
You do a night school?
No. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. to noon, baby.
Wow.
So it's
cool with it, and
yeah. Luckily, I have a job where I'm able to do that, and still get my job done. But it's hard on me because I've been able to go and do what I want when I want usually. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like recommitting myself to saying you're going to be at this school Monday, Wednesday, Fridays for the next 2 months. For this, I start on Monday.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so like a summer term.
So I'm doing a summer term to get these 2 prerequisites that I needed. And then I'm praying and hoping that they accept me to go get it. Because if not, I'll be taking 2 classes just for fun.
Yeah.
Life experience. But I have to trust that that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, that's where I can't let my fear go ahead of my faith. Like, every door that I thought needed to be opened. It's just flowing nicely.
Yeah.
And I have to trust that that's because God's just opening those doors when I get to him. He's not showing me so far ahead to where I get cocky and don't need him. Like, it's just a kind of a slow... learning some humility, waiting patiently. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, the door opened right when it needed to, and I didn't smack my face into it, because if we force it, generally speaking, that's not the path you're supposed to go. But it's just funny that every door that's needed to open this last 9 months has been opening, and I have to trust that that's not anything I'm doing. That's just God doing for me what I can't do for myself.
Yeah.
He's literally opening the doors for me, and I have to trust that process.
That's awesome.
It's easy to want to cut and run though, because it's uncomfortable. Like, it's not comfortable at all, and generally speaking, that's what we run from.
Yep.
This is uncomfortable. I don't like it. I'm going to go hide.
Yep.
Or I'm going to go get drunk, or I'm going to go use drugs or do other things.
Yep. It's first off, that's awesome. I think that's amazing that you can go back. I think the idea of going back right now in my life would be easier compared to yours, because I've got 1 kid. I've got a wife that would say, yes, go for it. Not saying that yours isn't, but I feel like to me, it would be easier, but I think you're right. I mean, you've got a normal job that you got to take care of to pay the bills, and then you're trying to add school part-time every day or every week.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. But, lots of people are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like, if I needed to, I could probably find another person that's going to school right now, trying to further their education or do whatever.
Yeah.
And they can say, well, hey, listen, this is how I'm making it work.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried this? It goes back to that experiencing, like, what's your experience in this?
Yeah.
That's why I'm a huge advocate of finding out what people's story is. You know, the homeless guy that's on the street probably hasn't always been homeless.
No.
Probably fell on some hard times. Maybe he lost his job.
Yeah.
When he lost his job, his wife said, well, I'm not going to be married to you. You can't provide anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have this guy that's living on the street and looks tattered and torn. I mean, and we're like, we can drive down the road and we're like, I feel so bad for that person. I see regularly driving to work, the same couple of people. And, oh, man, maybe I should stop and just see. And sometimes we just keep driving. And then we go to church and we say we're Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about some of those Bible stories. It's like, I'm one of those guys that saw the guy on the road and just kept walking because it was the Sabbath. We're not supposed to do anything for them on the Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
Like, do we really care enough to stop and see what's going on with this person? Like, for example, it was years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago. I'm driving down the road in Provo, and there's this lady. You can obviously tell she's homeless. She's pushing her shopping cart. She stole from the local Macy's or borrowed. And she's like literally stumbling through this road. Like, I think she's going to get hit. It's a snowy day. And I'm just seeing all these cars just drive by, and I'm just like, who's going to stop and help her?
Yeah.
So I was like, I was one of those guys that drove by, and then all of a sudden it's like, you need to turn around and you need to help her. So I turned around and, I threw her cart in the back of my SUV, and I started, she was from New Jersey. And I said, well, you're far away from home. And she's like, yeah. And she told me her whole story. Ended up going down to the Village Inn, and we had breakfast together. And it was one of the most, it was a very powerful, like, learning experience for me to just, like, not look at these people and be like, get a job, or like, you're so lazy. Yeah. It's like, no, like, there's a story behind, like, why they are where they're at. And if we take the time to, like, try and understand that story, like, it's a powerful human experience, right?
That's the word I would say.
Connecting,
human experience.
On an individual level with somebody that you otherwise wouldn't connect with.
Yeah.
Like, why are we so afraid to just approach those people?
Yeah.
It's like, are we that busy that we can't stop and just see how somebody else is doing?
Instantly make up an excuse why I need to turn this corner.
I'm going to be late for
tighter
work.
Because
this
guy at the corner has a sign, and if I make eye contact, my guilt is going to get to me.
Yeah.
So totally. I got to go. I'm going to be late, or I've got a reason that I need to not be able to give him something.
Yeah.
I think that definitely. There we go. There's that Red Bull. Drinking it for the first time since before we started recording. At least that I know,
but my eyes start twitching. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
It's like wigging out on me.
Oh, man.
Luckily, the Mr. Producer over there's got the camera angles moving back and forth. He knows when I need to drink a Red Bull. See, it stopped. The Red Bull made it stop. I'm not kidding you. Look, it stopped now.
Maybe it's a mental thing, too. Do you feel like that?
No, I think it's the substance in there. It's the B12 or the taurine. Oh, it's doing it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but we avoid that eye contact. We're like, and then you feel bad because you do have spare change in there that you could have given the guy, but you're like all afraid about it.
And in my, I was a missionary in Seattle. I gave spare change all the time.
That's a rough mission.
Well, especially right now. Seattle's a dump. It's a dump. I haven't been back for 10 years. And
did they legalize marijuana up there?
I think
recreational.
I think the state's legalized recreational, but it's still technically. I'm not an expert on this. I've got some friends out there that are very political and very conservative for the state.
Yeah.
So they're posting a lot of things about it.
Yeah.
I take some of it with a grain of salt, but a lot of it, go, wow. I mean, I've watched and I hear stories of people that still live there, especially in downtown Seattle. You know, they've got essentially druggies on the streets, and they say it's a housing crisis, but it's I shouldn't say it isn't, but really these people are just addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, housing is expensive, but I mean,
they got a substance abuse problem.
It's definitely a substance abuse problem, and so people can shoot up on the street. Yes, it's illegal, and yes, the cops could do something for it. But right now, I'm not an expert, but for right now, it seems like the city council just says, let them be.
I think they've actually set up facilities where they can go shoot up so they can get clean needles, and it's kind of a safe zone for them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. Hey, if we can't control this, let's at least give them healthy, clean needles.
Right, because otherwise you're just spreading more disease.
Yeah, but people are camping out in front of stores and doing it, in front of commercial stores where people can't. Especially now that I've got a kid, no way. Yeah, I'm not walking in front of that. If I was a missionary, it would be a little different story, Yeah. Rainbow Street in downtown Seattle was the best place to go. And there's sometimes where people come out, elders, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Get out of here. You're not supposed to be here. And those were some of the best times. But I think since then, it's gone. I mean, even then, it wasn't really that bad. But now, from what I've heard, it's just everywhere. I mean, I'm sure there's spots in Seattle that you don't see it, but it's dramatically worse than what it was.
Do you think, though, you could take your child there and make it a learning experience for that, or does it depend on the age?
I think age. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't take my 3-year-old.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if it was important enough, if we had to go to the doctor that was in that area, we'd probably do it. But no, I don't. I think when it's older, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, I haven't been back for 10 years. A city. I mean, when you're a missionary and anywhere you go, you love that place.
Yeah.
And I love Seattle. And it makes me really sad that it's, again, from what I've heard and seen on videos and short documentaries about it, it's a shame. It's a real shame, and it's the city needs help.
Yeah.
And so it makes me sad. And going back to my experience as a missionary, I would give that cash. And what would they do? I mean, you say, hey, are you gonna spend this on food or alcohol? And they go, I'll spend it on food. And then next thing you know, you come back 10 minutes later, and they have a new
bottle of whiskey or whatever.
And there then comes the question is, are you enabling? Are you assisting? I mean, I've heard some people say, if you donate to, again, the LDS Church, the church does a lot of good work throughout the whole world. And of course, can they do more? Heck yes. I mean, everyone can do more.
Yeah.
But gosh darn it, they spend billions and billions over the last decade, I think, like $4 billion in the last decade on humanitarian aid. And so, I've heard one person explain, hey, if you pay tithing, fast offering, you've good.
Done your part.
You've done your part. And I think then that comes up to the question. I'm sure the Good Samaritan, if he had tithing to pay, he probably paid tithing and picked up the person. So that's what's always kind of gone back to my mind is, do I avoid this person at the window? Because my experience is I've literally seen people take the money and buy alcohol with it, even though they said that they weren't going to. Or do I give them a chance?
Well, I think you just have to know, like, what's your expectation? Your expectation is you were supposed to buy a Whopper with that, and you went and bought a...
That's actually literally what it was, because there's a
bottle of vodka.
For this gentleman.
That's why I think it's important if, like, we just don't put a condition on it. Like, if this person says, I need money.
Yeah.
If you don't want them to spend it on alcohol, don't give them the money.
Yeah.
But if you have it to give them the money. What they choose to do with your act of kindness, it's their deal.
Yeah.
It's not, you've done your part.
Yeah.
You've done everything you can do. And so,
what do you think about, I mean, and I don't know how big of a problem it still is here in Utah, but, it's been proven that there's an organization of panhandlers that drive nice cars.
Yeah.
They stay in nice hotels or they live in a nice home, but they make a living by panhandling. And then it's a network. They all, they'll all get picked up again by a nice car, and news reporters have captured it several times.
Yeah.
And in fact, the city of Provo, Utah, made it illegal. I don't know if it still is, but they made it illegal.
Yeah, I think it is still illegal
for that problem.
Yeah.
Because it was an organized begging system, to people that didn't need it.
Yeah.
Technically, because they got so much money and they pulled together and they got what they did, and they're claiming that they can't walk, and then the newscasters, they're following them, and they go, or the reporters are following them, and they're going, oh my gosh, you just walked into your hotel.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? So that's another reason why I guess I'm a little hesitant to do it. It's like, am I enabling an organization that's lying?
Well, so sadly, some people have made it harder for people that are legit need the help.
Right. Like Jesse Smollett. Not to get I feel like we had
wow.
Well, there we go.
Golly.
There's politics right there.
Man, I'll tell you, that case is funny. That's too bad.
Yeah.
It really is and then to just I don't know. We don't want to get political, but it's like
this is all about
these, people wearing Trump hats and they came and called me these names, and I mean the narrative in this country is so sickening.
Yeah.
We're either a racist or we're a homophobic, or listen, some of them, I got some real darn good friends. One of my best friends, came out as gay, and guess what? I hug the guy and I love the guy no matter what, because it doesn't matter, to me. I love him. I in fact love him a little more maybe because of the courage it took to do what he did.
Yeah, I think so too. That's part of the reason why I love you, man.
It's just
it takes a lot of courage
like,
for you to say what you say.
I'm a recovering drug addict, It's like, like if people knew my story, I mean, the story, I don't know.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be alive, whether by, things that I've done or, hating myself so bad to want to end my life. But, God's had his hand in a lot of things in my life, and I can't deny that, there's some higher power that's kind of watched over me.
Yeah.
And when you can recognize it and validate that existence and that kind of relationship, it's a huge thing for me personally,
Yeah.
Because then I don't, and in my years in the church and in the LDS faith, it goes back to that we gotta have this perceived notion that we're these perfect little people, and it's like, you know what? I wish I would have learned when I was younger to just be who I am. I'm gonna cuss frequently. It's amazing. I'm sticking to the ground rules here. I'm respecting people's requests, but it's good. I certainly, I gotta know who my audience is, and then I've got to just, it's about learning respect. It's just, if I would have known these things at a younger age, what I know today, it would have been so much better being a member of the church, just because I wasn't going to be so afraid of expressing how I feel, you know, and disagreeing with something that I, don't agree with, It's like, just raise my hand and say, yeah, sure, no problem. It's like, sometimes I got to take a little time and think it out and say, like, okay, I can't just go with the popular choice. I really do actually want to find out, and I have to trust my gut. So there's this really cool thing. I don't know if we ever talked about it, called the Enneagrams. Have you ever seen what an Enneagram is?
I have no idea.
So if you ever want to have a cool experience, go study the Enneagram and how it relates to your personality, and learning what your
is it
true
like an aura kind of thing?
Well. Not to get too weird on you, because you might not ever talk to me again.
I like
it's
weird
one
stuff.
of those things. Like,
I'll stay up for the next 2 nights thinking about it.
Like what's your sign? Cancer. Okay, so I went. It's really kind of cool. Like the time I came to existence on this planet in the universe. Go and find out the exact time you're born. What the stars were, what the alignment was, and kind of what the significance is behind all of that. And then you can go and look at your life. It's some weird, trippy stuff, because the majority of it's true. Like one of my, I can't remember what it is. So I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
I married a complete opposite of what cancers are typically,
supposed to
they
marry.
best align with this. Well, I didn't. I married the complete opposite. Opposites attract.
Yeah.
Water's one of my calming elements. Water is my element. So no wonder I'm drawn to rivers and to water and where I find peace there, because it's my element. Some people's elements might be something else. So anyway, the Enneagram goes in and just kind of, and this is something my therapist has been working me with, is teaching me about our personalities, because we were all born into the world with a personality given to us by, some of it's our parents, the DNA we carry, and a lot of it's the spiritual DNA that we are born with, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we learn about our true characteristics, the things that, I wish I would have brought that book so I could show you, but I'll show you after sometime. But it's the coolest thing to actually find out what you're good at, what your strengths are. Because I'm an 8, type 8 with a wing 7.
Wing.
Wing. I got a wing. So there's 9 personality types, and I'm an 8, which is a leader. And I never really thought of myself as a leader, but looking back at it, I feel like I am kind of a natural born leader, where I can gain people's trust quite easily, and then I can go lead. But I've always kind of held back. I've stayed at the back of the pack and followed. Where now, kind of with this school decision, I'm determining to be a leader. I'm going to change the course. I don't like the course that my life's going, because I don't feel like I'm really meeting the measure of what I was sent here for. That's to help people.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. I love people.
Yeah. I know
and I like to conversate. I like good conversation, and it can be, about serious stuff, or it can be about, other stuff that's not so serious.
Yeah.
I haven't got to do a lot of my Matt Foley and Chris Farley impressions,
No, you haven't.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. Do you feel like that kind of stuff helps you feel, I almost said validated, but feel, I guess good. Does it make you feel good?
Yeah, because if I can make people laugh, that's going to be like, yeah, like they like that.
Kind of reminds me of, Robin Williams.
Yeah,
someone,
definitely.
I think that guy had probably more problems than we'll ever realize. I was on a plane flight back from, oh gosh, I don't remember, somewhere overseas. I think actually Scotland. I think it was Scotland, and I was watching the HBO special on Robin Williams. Man, I love that guy.
That was sad.
That was so sad.
Just how much pain he was in.
Yeah, that's what it was kind of about. It was like
he didn't want other people to feel that pain, so he made them laugh.
Yep.
And I think that maybe that's a lot of what, when we know somebody's really, really, really hurting.
Yeah.
To be able to get them to get a good belly laugh.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like if you're ever like down in the dumps, being able to just laugh like really deep in your belly.
Oh yeah.
Immediately you're not thinking about whatever you were thinking about. You're just it's gone.
I actually girlfriend, quasi fiance. We talked about it. I got the ring.
Gotcha.
It was one of those BYU like you
kind of one of those
rushed
rushed things.
Yeah, I guess it was rushed. Yeah. But at the same time, man, she broke my heart so bad.
Yeah.
I truly, if there was ever a time in my life that was depressed, not to say that I'm in love with her or at all attracted to her, but it's still like affected and affects like multiple things because of the path of what it did. But I remember one day turned on, just got Netflix. This is like back when, the college student had Netflix. That was like,
that was huge.
You're the cool guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I'm still not the cool guy.
Yeah, you are.
But I put on American's Funniest Home Videos. I don't think I'd ever laughed so hard in my life.
Yeah.
It was just exactly what my soul needed. I was legitimately depressed. Like I'd stay in the shower for like 3 hours. Oh my. It was so bad.
Not
like
to laugh at you, but it's like, man, that
bad.
Sucks.
It was bad. And I went and talked to a counselor and they're like, and I think I told them the answers they wanted. I wanted to hear, not that they wanted to hear, but what I wanted to hear. And so it's just one of those like 1 sessions done. like, okay, I'm good. You know, I talked it through. I probably need it because like I said, it's just like a trail. It just like carried in one form or another. But at the same time, man, that belly laugh. I mean, my roommates probably thought I was crazy.
Yep.
Because I was spending 3-4 hours in the shower, and then all of a sudden I'm on the couch, my roommates, thinking like, oh my gosh, this guy is
he's lost his marbles.
But I will never forget that moment of how good I felt and how much I was like, you know what, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We our minds are they're a powerful tool, and we can use it for good or we can use it for bad. Another funny thing is, did you know that our hearts actually have a separate neurological system in it? It's like the heart brain.
So like a different part of the brain.
It's not even it's not even connected to this crap up here.
Whatever.
It's this.
Yeah.
It's this.
Interesting.
It's separate from. That's why they say follow your heart.
Interesting.
Because this is what's going to tell us what's real. Because up here we store all that crap.
Yeah.
I mean, our brain literally, we see something. That's where these traumatic events come in. We see something and then our brain stores it wherever it stores it. But then, like if you saw a traumatic car wreck, say you witnessed a car accident.
Yeah.
And there was somebody that died and you saw somebody that had gotten thrown through the windshield. The next time you see a car wreck or come upon a car wreck, that traumatic event gets replayed in your head again.
Yeah.
And like you got to learn how to shut that down because that's where that PTSD comes in.
How do you think like paramedics and cops do that?
Well,
firefighters.
Look at how their marriages are.
Yeah.
Lots of divorce.
Yep.
Because they don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Mostly it's because they don't talk about
it.
They
go home. Who wants to go talk about some of the crap they have to see?
Yeah.
So that's why we can advocate
you
for therapists.
Share that with your wife or kids.
No, they don't. Yeah. You want to go home and be a dad.
Yeah.
And you want to play. But if you've got that stuff in your mind,
yeah,
how are you going to go be able to be a dad to your kids?
Yeah. So you want to hear a trippy? I mean, I've never done drugs. Minus like ibuprofen.
Kudos to you, man.
I've never done drugs. And
where were you born?
California.
Wow.
Vista,
that's
California.
Amazing.
Vista, California.
Vista. Andale.
North of San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego. What is it? A whale? I love that movie.
San Diego.
Oh, man. But I think probably one of the trippiest experiences in my life was an experience I had with my aunt, my mom's sister. She does rapid eye.
Ooh.
Rapid eye.
Yeah.
It's movement.
Yeah.
It's like, have you done it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a trip, dude.
Oh. Just thinking about it makes my face like feel like tingling.
It's a trip.
It was so weird. I mean, I fully believe that it's not, and it doesn't claim, as far as I know, it doesn't claim to be like a sorcering power, some metaphysical God thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just deep. It's going deep into the core of your brain and your heart to relieve those things. And they say that, they say a lot of cops use it, like 9/11 victims and cops like that. That's when I guess it got a lot of publicity. But I mean, man, I was struggling with, and it also helps with like physical ailments and like diseases and stuff like that. And I was really sick with some stomach problems, and my aunt did it for me, and I think it made me feel better for a little while, like physically. But man, like the mental images that I had during it. I mean, she's got like this little like clear wand with like the primary colors at the end of it. And she's like taking out the bad energy. I'm just like,
it's like the Reiki stuff, where those Reiki people that can go through your body and tell you where the harm is.
Yeah.
Like you go through like the chakras and stuff. Like it's some crazy stuff. I think a lot of times it is a psychological, like I'm sick. Well, you keep telling yourself you're sick, you're going to feel crappy.
Yeah.
And if you it's like, you got to have some, okay. So Saturday Night Live, Stuart Smalley.
Oh yeah.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Like if you told yourself that every morning, positive affirmations, it makes a huge difference.
Oh, man.
You get rid of the negative crap.
Yeah.
And another trippy thing, you're talking about trippy, like psychological stuff you can do to make yourself feel better. Have you ever heard of grounding?
Sounds familiar. I mean, minus electrical grounding, but but it sounds familiar.
What do we have running through us all the time? These pulses, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Electronic pulses.
Yep.
Okay, so grounding, it's cool. It's cool, dude. I'm telling you what.
This is the Joe Rogan, the clean version of Joe Rogan talking about mushrooms.
Totally clean version. Walk around barefoot outside, and it grounds you. And all that negative crap, the negative energy in you, goes to Mother Earth.
Interesting.
Grounding.
That's funny because my 3-year-old is always asking for when we go on a walk, can she not wear shoes?
Why do you think? Maybe she's onto something.
She probably is.
It's not just
taking out the frustration of a 3-year-old not being able to do what she wants to do.
Well, yeah. But how cool is it that you can just walk barefoot?
Yeah.
Try it sometime. Next time you mow your lawn. I know it's a little risky. If you know how to handle a mower, though, you won't lose any digits. One of our neighbors lost a toe.
Oh. Well, we have an electric lawnmower, so.
Okay. Well, don't run over
the torque is not as strong.
Okay, but don't run over the cord.
Yeah.
I've done.
No, it's battery powered.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I
paid the $400 for it.
You popped for the big one.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get solar in the house. It's okay. I can handle a battery.
Yeah.
I haven't had to buy a single gallon of gas.
Well, I just bought 2 gallons the other day.
Yeah. See, I save money.
And I always spill it.
Yeah.
Every time I'm
Kills
filling
the
those
grass
stinking
too.
things up.
That's actually, honestly, that's a big reason I don't know why I always spill when I'm filling it up.
So you're shaky.
I guess so. I think I'm like extra worried. And I also never get a funnel. I'm dumb like that. I should just get a funnel and fix that problem.
For a funnel. I mean,
but I popped $400 for an electric lawnmower.
You did it right.
And it was like one of the normal size ones, not the little like 12-inch ones.
My neighbor has one of the 12-inch ones. I talked to him today, actually.
Oh, was he nice?
He was nice.
Good. Was he mowing?
He was mowing.
Oh, good. Yeah, because not to judge. But
why are you judging people that don't mow their lawns?
They have a lot of weeds in the front.
No, they've actually done a really good job. It looks nice.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job getting it cleaned up.
Good.
But I have cut through an electrical cord with my...
Yeah, growing up, we had an electric one too. And
it scared the crap out of me.
Really?
Yeah, it shocked me. It hurt a little bit.
Oh.
My heart almost stopped.
Were you barefoot? Did you ground?
I was not barefoot. I wish I would have been.
Yeah, probably would. Well, yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have. I don't know how the mechanics
work. That's
a
little bit different there. But no, actually, to go back to the grounding, I actually have walked around barefoot. Usually it's to go chasing after my dog.
Okay, but does it? Do you feel different?
Absolutely, actually. I believe
Isn't it weird thing?
I do believe
weird. There's some cool YouTube stuff on it.
I actually, I do feel better. And sometimes I fear, oh, this guy's walking out barefoot. What's he doing? And I get over it, but sometimes it comes back.
Well, we're putting a piece of rubber in between us and the ground when we walk around with our shoes.
Yeah.
We're not allowing that stuff to get out.
What's more important? Your neighbors thinking you're weird walking barefoot on the sidewalk?
Or
grounding. Yeah.
Grounding's more important.
I think so too. I think there's something said about Mother Nature becoming one. I mean, man, I've had a major desire to hike and camp. And these are things that I've had when I had them when I was a kid, and then they kind of went away. And I think I'm starting to feel them again.
People discount the power of what nature can do.
Yeah.
Some people, like my therapist, his Sunday school is held in the mountains. Huh. He literally leaves church and goes to the mountains and just sits.
Yeah. I mean, you read, any Christian and Jewish scriptures.
They're in the mountains when they're talking to God, right?
There's a couple of references in the Quran as well about going to the mountains.
Yeah.
But
so, when do we buy into that maybe there's something to it?
Yeah. I think sometimes
it's too simple. It's got to be some dramatic effect. Yeah. It's like, I don't think so.
So it's fun. I mean, granted, this is not to mock the lady at all, but as a missionary in Seattle, she was trying to pronounce her atheism on us and saying that's why she loved going to the mountains so much, is because that's where she came from. And I think there's a lot of truth to it. And this, if you want to get deep into LDS doctrine, but whether we're all part of the creation of the earth.
Yeah.
So of course, why wouldn't you want to be part of something you created?
Yeah.
Gosh darn it, I'm proud of this room it's taken 2.5 years to make it look the way that it does. And I'm proud of it. And that's why I did the studio in this room, because I'm proud of it. I created it. So, and I think she, ever since then, I've thought a lot about that. And I think again that she evolved from something that came from the earth, and evolution or not, I think there's something about connecting to the earth.
Yeah, I think it's important that we don't be so closed-minded about certain things.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, so have you've heard of The Secret, right? The universe manifesting what we want. Telling the universe what we want.
I haven't heard that. I mean, I do it all the time.
Dream board?
No.
Have you ever put a picture on you want to drive a new...
sorry, I was thinking some other like...
You're manifesting.
Dream board.
You're manifesting when you do that. You're making it known to the universe that that's what you would desire. I've had times where I've manifested certain things.
So not just yourself, because that's what I think. Dream boards for you to set goals, but you're saying this is for the universe.
This is everything.
The spirit of the universe to know what you want.
Yeah. Okay. And the universe listens.
Yeah.
The universe will listen. It's always important. It's weird. You say it 3 times, you manifest it out there. You always have to follow it up with gratitude, though. I'm grateful for these things. I would like to have this. It's almost like you're having a conversation with the universe, because we are particles of the universe. We are literally, I don't know what people's views are on evolution, but the Big Bang Theory, I absolutely think there was a huge explosion. There had to be for all the elements to come together.
Yeah.
And then at that point, when the elements were there and everything was in place, from the doctrines of the church, the dust, all that was particles of the universe. So we are the universe, and we are infinite in everything, despite our little frail, chubby bodies. You have a better figure than I do.
I don't know about
Dude,
that.
come on, I'm 240. What are you, $150?
200.
Really?
Yeah.
You're 2?
Yeah. I weighed myself at the gym the other day. I was
kidding.
Like, oh my
At least
gosh.
you go to the gym.
Oh, I'm not
Jeez
going
Louise,
as often
dude.
as I should. My colleagues definitely give me a hard time.
Well, listen, if you're okay with 200,
I'm not, but I mean,
my doctor says I need to be at 190, and I keep telling him there ain't a snowball's chance in where that I'm going to hit 190.
Hey,
buddy.
Put it on your dream board. Come on.
I don't want to be 190.
Oh, okay. Well,
I lose who I am. I just don't want to have a heart attack. Well, I was looking at my family history today. Both my great-grandparents died of heart attacks.
Oh man.
One at 67, one at 49. I'm 41. I got 8 good years, or I got 20.
Interesting.
Or I just outlive it and don't die. I hope I don't have to die. How would that be to just twinkle and be immortal all of a sudden? Man. That's what I'm really hoping. That's on my dream board. Don't let me die.
How many times do we actually think about the moment of our death? My guess is
I obsess about it a lot. I can get really scared of it though. Like not existing anymore. Like what's my family going to do? Like is there really something out there after?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to just have a little peek of what death is like.
Yeah.
But I'd like to just stay living. Do you think that could be accommodated?
Sure.
Think I could put that out to the universe?
I know of several books where people write about that, where they
like
die
it's
got to
be such a trip, man. Like you're just like I watched my grandpa die. Like I was in the room when he died. It was so surreal. It was just so crazy.
Like bad crazy, good crazy?
It's still a little weird because he's there. I mean, he was really sick.
Yeah.
But then you watch him die. Like he literally takes his last breath. Now he had a little help from the hospice people, slamming him full of morphine.
Yeah.
But when he takes that last breath, and then you're just there with this cold body, waiting for the morgue to show up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's something you don't forget, but it's like I don't want to be laying there with people it's just weird.
How do you want to go?
I'd like to.
Wait, I mean, you want to twinkle?
Well, I'd love to twinkle.
For those that don't,
I'm hoping the world continues to just deteriorate to the point where, in my belief, Jesus comes back and says, "All right, enough's enough," and we're good.
Okay, so let's define.
But if Jesus doesn't,
twinkling in the eye,
if Jesus doesn't show up and I don't go immortal like in an instant, I hope I die in my sleep.
Okay, so a lot of Christian doctrine, LDS doctrine, twinkling in the eye is that you instantly basically become immortal.
Yeah.
And have eternal life like you would as if you had died and were resurrected later. Okay.
That's what I want.
Yeah. That sounds good.
That's like number one part. If I can't have that, though, in my sleep would be great.
Yeah.
Because then it's just like a dream. Wake up from this strange
trip. What was the last
I bet you know what,
80
though?
years like?
No, I bet you know what, though? I wonder if death is a lot like just a dream. We wake up on the other side and we look back and we have this bright recollection of the whole, if I'm 40 or whatever, I hope I live to be older, but our whole life, like, man, that was a trip, man. That dream was trippy, man. There's this one part in my dream where I was doing all this crazy stuff, and man, that was weird.
Yeah.
And you got people there saying, man, and then you're talking about what was your dream like? I bet you it's probably a lot like that. And I imagine it's got to be like when we're born, we're a lot of people, well, hopefully, there's always somebody, whether it's a nurse or whether it's your family, somebody's there to hold you and love you and take care of you. I'm hoping that when I die, that's what it's like on the other side, where I'm welcomed to this loving, spiritual thing,
That's interesting. My grandma, my dad's mom, she had cancer. She died probably when I was about 9, and it was hard seeing her deteriorate through cancer. But I think probably about maybe a month or 2 before she died. No, probably a couple weeks, actually. I remember it being a couple weeks. She didn't talk much, but of course she needed to say something.
Mm-hmm.
She talked about how her uncle, her dad, were coming to her in her dreams. Just saying, hey, we're right here for you. We're and talking and getting her ready.
Yeah.
I mean, getting her ready for the next life.
Yeah, and isn't that comforting to know? It's like we have a supreme creator that allows that to happen that way.
Yeah. And get this, her husband, my step-grandpa, he passed away not too long ago. And probably about a month before he passed away, he had dreams of his wife, Jackie, doing the same thing.
Just coming and saying, hey, wow.
Yeah. And he is not he is a good man. If there's a good man, alcoholic, smoking, drunk so much that he couldn't come to Christmas, couldn't go to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But had at the same time had a heart of gold. Talk about not being an addict and still being a freaking amazing person. Yep. That guy had so much money and that he gave away that he basically didn't have any money when he died.
Yeah.
But for him to have this spiritual experience before he passed, oh man, that means a lot to us that are religious, but also at the same time knowing that if you're not religious or not, knowing that he had some comfort, I think, before. Granted, he passed away a way that wasn't necessarily natural.
Yeah.
He fell and minor details that won't need to share, but he fell and he didn't die naturally in his sleep, versus like his wife did, my grandma did.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those, nice to know that he had something comforting and he was a good man that I think, the supreme being out there is going to give him all the love that he gave back.
Yeah.
The law of reciprocity.
Yeah.
That you get back what you return. Karma, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's one of those universal laws.
Yeah. Jesus talks a lot about it in the New Testament. A lot. If you look for it, if you know to look for it, you'll see it all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something there for my grandpa in that aspect. But, it's just kind of interesting. Like, how are you going to die? You're going to die because you fell, or are you going to die because you fell in your sleep? You died in your sleep? Did you die in a car accident? You just don't know. The other thing too is you just don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, you can be healthy as an ox. You have a brain aneurysm and you're dead. You're gone.
You're gone.
And you know what? That's why we always have to live like it's our last day.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to treat people, family, friends, somebody in the street? How are we going to treat them if it's our last day?
Yeah.
If it's the last thing you're going to do as a human being, how are you going to go out treating people?
Or their last day.
Yeah, you don't know. Could it be their last moment? The last, somebody's last moment is somebody screaming at them because they were stumbling across the road drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bum, I mean, it's just, we got to share more love with everybody and not just the people that are closest to us. And we have to share more love with ourselves. We have to be a little bit easier on ourselves.
Yeah.
When I lightened up on like this whole notion of I've got to be 100% perfect or I'm just a piece of crap, like that's where a total shift in my life happened, is when I could start saying, I can do better than that, but today this is all I could do. Like just being a little easier on ourselves, not negative, oh, I'm this and I'm this, because it affects our families. When my kid hears me putting myself down, this kid that looks up to me as superhero dad, and I'm in there and he can hear me putting myself down, it affects him.
Yeah. And
then he'll start doing it to himself.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Nope.
I don't want him putting himself down.
Yeah.
So we got to just spread more positivity and love and find a way to get through life and do it together.
Yeah, agreed.
Life's hard.
It is.
We need each other.
We definitely do. And we can't judge. I mean, the other thing too is we don't know what that person's really going through.
Like, take the time to find out, like, what's the story. It's like we talked about, I don't know, it was like probably a year ago. Maybe it was last fall. Going out and just saying, what's your story?
Yeah, yeah.
What's your story?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I want to know. I want to listen to what your story is. What have you had to go through that was hard? How did you overcome some of these trials? What did you do to change your course? Mm-hmm. Because that's the message that I think we should all be trying to spread. But we're just bombarded with so much negativity. Everywhere you look, it's negative.
Yeah.
You turn on the news, it's negative. I mean, I haven't seen Congress work together like grown-ups should. Like, what are you teaching our youth? What are you teaching people?
Yeah.
You're making these divisions and barriers, and you're saying, there's got to be sides. We're on the right, they're on the left. We're right,
they're wrong.
It's just like where do we find middle ground and meet each other and say we can make some change now? Yeah. How do we make that change? It has to start with us, dude.
It does. It starts with the individual.
We have to be the change we want to see, right?
Yep.
Gandhi said that, or be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. If you want to see more love and more positivity, you got to go spread that love and positivity.
Yeah.
And it starts with yourself, and then it spreads to your family, and then it spreads to the guy that you're seeing in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Throw a compliment out to the checker and tell her thanks. Call her by her name. They wear name tags for a reason.
Yeah. Yep.
Give them a name, and talk to them like they're people.
Yeah. We
got to do better.
Yep, I agree.
I got to do better.
We all got to do better. And those that have done a lot of good things, I mean, those are usually the ones that go, man, I just need to do more.
Yeah.
I can't rest until I do more. Well, I think that's a good note to end it on.
Absolutely.
I feel like we have so much more to talk about.
Yeah, we could talk for hours.
Yeah. But good thing we had that camp out a couple days ago.
Darn right, buddy.
A couple weeks ago.
You betcha.
Watching those youth.
And there was a little moose that tried to scare me. We can talk about the moose story later. I was a kid.
We'll talk about not as serious. I feel like this just naturally went into serious because you know what? I think it's because I think that's what the universe. I think that's what you're telling the universe.
It went the universe. Yeah, absolutely.
You're getting ready for your degree. Your new degree. Is it going to be master's, doctorate?
Well, no. Well, maybe down the road. This is just going to be a license.
Oh, a license. Okay, cool.
State of Utah requires a license. Yeah. I'm already good at what I do.
Trust me.
I could do this without a license.
I feel my soul filled. That's for sure.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's
all right.
fun.
Well, thanks so much for all your time.
Absolutely.
Taylor. We'll have
Thank
back
you.
For sure. We'll talk about way more other topics.
And I want to do my Matt Foley impression next time.
Okay. We'll do that.
Okay.
Actually, you want to send us off on a Matt Foley?
Oh, well, why not?
Okay.
What do you want to know? Beside the fact that I've been... Okay, let me just get into character real quick. Okay. Now, as your father's probably told you, my name is Matt Foley, and I am a motivational speaker. Now, I'm here to give you a little bit of a scenario of what my life consists of. First off, I am 35 years old. I am divorced, and I live in a van down by the river. And there's more to come. You can find out why I live in a van down by the river. That's it. I can't go deeper.
Nope, you can't. No. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, brother.